It's the
week.
No!
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is indeed your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome one and all to a special bi-week edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world talking about your Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments, we share together. We hope that you are entertained, we hope you are enthralled, and we hope you are enlightened as we discuss the bye week for your Super Bowl defending champion, Seattle Seahawks. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or sin of your choice, and remember, if you like to hear whining, you're a member of the Denver Post beat writers trying to come up with another unintelligent column. Are you listening, Mark Lisla? You putz. As is the usual with every show, we are not alone. No, I am joined like I am every episode by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. First, guess who's back? That's right. Back from an extended holiday of debauchery the likes of which hasn't been seen this side of Sodom and Gomorrah. He was on a holiday. Little Madonna for you. You can find his Minecraft videos on the Suffolk Blue YouTube channel. He's on a holiday, but he's back from merry old England. It's Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Good morning. Little Madonna for you there, Matt.
Well, I come with good news and bad news.
Oh, you have good news and bad news. What's the good news, bad news?
I have good news. The good news is I still have a country. Congratulations, Scotland.
Yes!
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yay! It's a great thing. But the bad news is I'm currently 82 miles away from Raider HQ. The Raiders are within smelling distance. In fact, if you open the window and stick your head out, you can get a real whiff of complete football despair. And they will be playing the Dolphins this weekend in London, and quite frankly, I wish that I lived in Paris.
Because it smells better. Carried away, man.
Because it smells a lot better in Paris.
It's just... can I just thank the United States of America for shipping over so much shit on one weekend. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're very welcome. Our gross national product went up about $2 million when those two teams left,
So did your nation's IQ. It's just not good.
Oh, nice.
Not
Our
good,
nation's
people.
IQ.
Not good.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll try to pull you through this week as we talk about the bye week. Maybe you can take your mind off the smell of the Raiders.
It's even worse.
Yeah.
Now there's just a bye week, so there's no even football for me to watch. I'm going to bed. Good night.
Show's over. Good night, everybody. See you later. All right. See you next.
Great show, guys. Great show.
Great show. Oh, well, wait. We got more people here on the posse we can talk about. We also have someone from the state of Washington, our very own news hound. His 12th Man editorials can be found on SeahawkSal.com website. He's not just passing by. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will.
Evening, gents. How are you?
Pretty good. I think Matt just left, though.
No, I'm still here. I'm just drinking an iced beer. That's fine.
You scared? We'll get to the ice beer story in a minute.
Yeah.
Also from the state of California, just up the road from 49er headquarters, our own man behind enemy lines. He never screams Seahawks when he's just passing by the 49er headquarters. You know him as Orange 76. We know him as Statsman Mark.
Hey guys, I'm reporting 15 minutes southwest of Niners Stadium or whatever in Santa Clara, and they're gearing up for a 1-3 start and traffic jams.
In that order.
In that order.
In that order. 1-3 start and traffic jams. That will actually, when they make those season-ending like best ofs for the teams, that's going to be the San Francisco 49ers title. It's going to be 6-10 and traffic jams. So
you can play that again when Harbaugh takes the Michigan job after this year.
We can only hope.
We go Big Blue. And finally, last but not least, to round out the posse also from the state of Washington, his tailgating and ice beers are legendary. He loves it when someone else buys the next round. You know him as X-Ray Hawk. We know him as Dustin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I realized after these intros, I literally bring nothing to this table. I don't have a true nickname. So
his Madden games are played every week for our show. He actually brings a lot. Before we started the show tonight, we heard a microwave beep beep beep, and I said, "Okay, who's microwaving something?" And then Dustin speaks up and says, "Oh, it's me. I put my beer in the microwave."
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody?
Because it was frozen, apparently.
But it's a bottle, so it's fine.
Which makes it fine.
I accidentally froze it. You put it in the microwave for 20 seconds, drink it, ice cold. It's amazing.
Oh, see? And you know what? That is so innovative. The kids are here, and the kids love that. Icicles, kids! Beer sickles for everybody!
Hey!
Yes.
Cheers, kids. Cheers.
Serving alcohol to a minor is a $5 fine, just so you know.
Only if you get caught.
Only if you get caught. We haven't hardly started this show. We're 3 minutes in. We've already had an NSYNC reference. We've had a Madonna reference, and we're now talking about beer sickles.
Moses, the thing I like about this is that I get the feeling that Dustin couldn't tell you how to cook anything else in the microwave but beer. He knows that it's got to be 20 seconds. It can't be any longer than 20 seconds, but it must be a bottle. All of those things are ticks he knows how to do. If you ask him to make beans on toast or something in a microwave, ain't got a clue.
You know what I'm concerned about is that he said it's a bottle, not a can, as if he's actually tried the can.
He's
in the
done
microwave.
the can.
Yeah.
No. There has never been a can involved in the microwave when beer warming up has taken place. Throwing that out there.
He did try the keg, though.
Oh, my God.
It wouldn't fit.
Little Clydesdale horses got stuck in there, too, but we won't talk about that. Wow, hey, let's do a football show, shall we?
Is that what we're doing?
Hey,
Sorry, that was miles away. Go on then.
Well, this is a bye week.
Well, damn, I'm out.
Yeah, this
I don't know
is
what we're doing.
Second show's over for a second time. For those of you who've listened before, thank you for joining us again. For those who are listening for the first time, this is not usual, but don't worry. We'll be gentle, but be careful. Matt just got back from vacation, and he hasn't been checked yet, so we'll have to just take his word on it.
That's awesome.
The show is run like this. The first quarter, will catch us up on all the news we may have missed from the NFL world. Second quarter, we will talk about last week's game. We'll do the good and bad and the ugly. We'll do it in reverse. We're going to do the ugly, the bad, and the good, because we like to end on a high note here at 12th Man Fan Jam. At halftime, we're playing a halftime trivia. This is a game that you can play along with. We will put the questions up on the screen, and we'll put the answers up on the screen later as well. Everyone's going to play. Dustin is the defending champion now, but
Bow down.
But Matt is here, so it should be an interesting competition between the four of you. In quarter three, we find out what's bugging Matt and the rest of us about last week's game, following last week's game against the Broncos. And in the fourth quarter, we'll review our predictions, prognostications, and game balls from last week. Before we get going, we do have just a couple shout-outs we'd like to share.
Hey, can I do a shout out? Shout out.
If you have some shout-outs that you'd like to give us, simply comment to the YouTube channel or comment at the thread that this video is on, and we'll give you a shout-out. So our first shout-out is from Wendy, who just had her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Wendy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Wendy.
And she said, I think you guys are very awesome. So that's pretty cool. So
I agree.
Thank you for that. I agree.
With all of that.
Yes. Mike commented to me, it's the internet equivalent of meeting friends in a bar and talking about their favorite team. It's all good. Which, that's what we're aiming for. And then after the Seahawks won, Blue Osprey tweeted, apparently, we did our Peyton Manning nationwide jingles last week, and he made his own, which was Seahawks beat me once again. So thank you all for the shout-outs. Yes, thank you all for the shout-outs. And let's go ahead and get started with the first quarter and news. Yes, news of the NFL world that you may have missed because you were too busy going to your cardiologist after last week's game. Only the Shadow Hawk knows the news, and that is our Shadow Hawk, Will. Will, what you got for us?
Well, Moses, Seahawks defensive lineman Cole Bennett is kind of an interesting guy. His brother, Martellus Bennett, even more so. The tight end who's currently playing for the Bears had a pretty good game Monday night, had 5 passes, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. Took some interesting motivation out of this one. In a post-game interview, he said he was upset about the way Jets coach Rex Ryan talked about him. Quote, he was like, "Oh yeah, the tight end is a big dude," Bennett said. I was kind of pissed about that. I feel like when someone talks about me, they should have some type of enthusiasm. So,
Wow.
Martellus Bennett, you the man.
Dumb man.
You know, that's he needs a little bit more excitement, I guess. I guess what he wants is he wants someone to kind of talk, you know, about the tight end, like, you know, it is the thing. So
Jason Derulo, talk dirty to me.
I think I got something set up here. Hold on, let me figure. Here we go. Yeah, we'll get that Martellus Bennett. Oh yeah, baby. He's a tight end, baby. He's awesome. He's a big dude. That's right, baby. Martellus, this is for you, buddy. You are the man. They all know. When he comes out onto the field, there's only one tight end that big. And that's Martellus Bennett, baby. He knows all the plays.
Bennett.
And he's a bear.
Yeah, always keep the poor music handy. There's Martellus's shout out. Shout out to Martellus Bennett.
I feel a little bit dirty.
You need a shower. Well, you've just been on
As
holiday.
well you should.
Yeah. As well you should. Well, Martellus has got a shout out. Will, who else needs a shout out tonight?
Well, I don't know who needs a shout out, but I think Dallas cornerback Morris Claiborne needs a hug. Poor guy's had a rough week.
That's because he's terrible.
Well, yes, but his week started with him getting lit up by the St. Louis Rams receiving group, which is pretty pitiful in and of itself.
With their third-string quarterback.
Well, yes. Then he had Jerry Jones going on the radio saying, "Quote: Is he what we had hoped for at this point when we drafted him with the 6th overall pick, giving up the 2nd round pick to go up to the 6th pick to get him?" No. So that was his owner.
Yay!
Wow.
And then Claiborne found out on Tuesday that he was being benched and basically walked out of practice and left the facility. He did end up coming back the next day, largely because he had no choice. Yeah, it's kind of a rough time for Morris Claiborne. So we're pulling for you, man.
Poor guy. You know,
I'm not.
Well, he has a new theme song too.
Some of us are pulling for you, man.
Some of us are pulling for you. But he comes out now. That's for you, buddy. He's just so sad. No friends. It's all by himself.
He was just soul searching. He left the facility in hope of finding those glory hole days. He wanted to bring him back.
I want me some glory hole.
And see, you said you don't bring anything to the show. There, right there. That's proof right there that you bring
beer
something.
and glory holes. That's it.
Oh, yes.
What else do you need?
Yeah. Those are my specialties, so.
Whoa, wow. Let me get the poor music back.
Whoa.
No.
Please don't.
No, I won't. Will, we better end here. What else you got before Dustin gets too excited?
Well, this was actually something that came to light last week, but it was too good to miss, so I had to bring it back. Peyton Manning, you may have heard of him once or twice, was giving an interview to Peter King of the MMQB.com, and he admitted that the local population in Denver was doing good for the pizza business. Of course, Manning being the spokesman for Papa John's. Manning's exact quote: "I've gotten to know some of the folks here in Colorado. There's some different laws out here in Colorado. Pizza business is pretty good out here, believe it or not, due to some recent law changes."
Oh my God!
Now, to what could he possibly be referring?
I don't have a clue. I don't know what he's possibly talking about. I mean, I just know that when the Broncos hit the field, this has become their new fight song out there. A little lowrider.
Yes. To what could he be referring?
Oh my God!
Suddenly, the reason why the NFL changed the PED rules has come very clear to me. It's because Peyton Manning must have said to them, "You need to change them because I had pizza last Thursday, and now when I pee into the cup, I'm going to show you. I'm going to end up in trouble."
Yeah,
Could be.
instead of pesto, you can now get an extra large hemp pie out there.
Yeah, a little hack stuff.
Nice.
Oh.
Well, it's better than most of the stuff you'll find on a Papa John's, too.
And I don't even explain why they're burning the Manning jerseys. It really has nothing to do with whether they like him or not. They're just made out of hemp. Oh, pod jokes and Madonna and NSYNC and beer sickles. Wow.
Don't forget the glory holes.
Yes. And don't
Oh
forget,
my.
Yes, and of course the glory holes. What an amazing start to the show, Will. Thank you for your news. That was fantastic as usual.
Anytime, sir.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
Yes, we are approaching the end of the first quarter, so we'd like to take a quick station identification. We'll come back to the second quarter. We'll talk about that game between the Broncos and the Seahawks with our good, bad, and ugly. Following this station identification, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. In the second quarter, we will be discussing the good, we will be discussing the bad, and we will be discussing the ugly of last week's game. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam, and welcome to the second quarter of this very special bi-week edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity, alongside the posse, which is Dustin, Matt, Will, and Statsman Mark. We're going to talk about the good and bad, the ugly of this game against the Broncos. The Seahawks defeating the Broncos 26-20 in overtime. But we're going to go in reverse. Instead of doing the good, the bad, and the ugly, we're going to do the ugly, bad, and the good, because we want to end on a high note. So just like the game itself. So we're going to start off with Dustin. And Dustin, are you good with the ugly?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. What do you got for ugly for this week's game?
Ugly for me is that last drive in the fourth quarter by the Seahawks, or by Broncos. I mean, the Seahawks defense did not adjust. They had the same two plays at the that got the touchdowns. One was the 41-yard pass to Emmanuel Sanders. I forget who caught the touchdown. But essentially what happened was we had Byron Maxwell in his zone coverage. So the two receivers on the left side, the outside guy did a post route. He ran in. Maxwell followed him over, which opened up that zone completely towards the sideline. The guy in the slot ran a wheel route, caught 41 yards the second time. Mm-hmm. The next time they did that, same exact play, touchdown. That should never, ever happen because, one, you should recognize the same play the second time, and two, they had less than a minute, 80 yards to go, with no timeouts. We should have never seen overtime. That whole, whatever you want to call it, was ugly, man. It was rough to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Mark, you and I text during the games, and I had said not over quite yet. When we kicked the field goal to make it 8 points, I said OT's the worst thing that can happen now. And we kind of just put it to our defense, and this is a defense that, has the clever nicknames, and they have the swagger, and, they have all the commercials, and they have all the fun stuff. But it's time when a game like this, when you're up by 8 at home with a minute to go, and the other team's 80 yards from the end zone, Mark, don't you think they should have iced this thing?
Well, yeah, of course. Given who they are, my problem with it too, it starts even before, the ball snapped, and that is like the go. It wasn't a prevent D, but what troubles me is how all teams do this, or a lot of teams do this. They get away with what's been working all game long, and yet they end up surrendering the type of pass plays that zone type of defense, whatever coverage they're running, is designed to protect against. So it kills me to see that happen. I just stick with what's been working all game long. So you're not even putting themselves in a position to cough up whatever it is they're coughing up.
Right.
Exactly.
The ugly I wanted to share, and then we can go to bad. And I hate to say it because Hauschka is money, but he missed that field goal, and it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the snap or the hold. He just missed it, and he's human. He's going to.
Yeah.
But that was ugly because that would have been a 23-12 game. It might change the complexion a little bit at the end. But the way things were going, Denver probably would have recovered the onside kick with 18 seconds and kicked a 60-yard field goal to send overtime anyway. But that was my ugly. Matt, what do you have for bad?
Well, I did actually have Hauschka down missing as one of my bad points, because I think that sort of set up that chain reaction of the whole of that sort of collapse, really, which is what it was. And just to add a little bit to Dustin's, just watching it, in my prognostication of last. Obviously, I sent you a message when I was on holiday. What my prognostication was, which was that the second half was where the Broncos are just going to go crazy on us. I put that. I didn't expect it to go quite like that, though. That was a bit too much of a collapse for me. But I think we have to temper that a little bit by understanding that we are playing, last year's top offense again.
Yes.
So our defense did look bad, but then they were playing the top offense, so maybe that was supposed to happen that way a little bit. For bad for me was I didn't understand the running plays when we were in the end zone and we had the safety on Lynch, and we kept trying to run Lynch out of the end zone. I think to myself, they're knowing that that's what we're doing. Why are we not attempting? I know you've got to fall back into the end zone to throw it, but it's either way. Why are we not attempting more variety of play, but just trying to run Lynch up the middle on that end zone? To me, didn't seem to be a very clever option.
Well, here's my problem with that. If you're going to run on the outside like that, don't bring in a wide receiver to block DeMarcus Ware. Go. Put a couple of tight ends over there if you're going to run that way, and let him figure out where to run. That was Jermaine Kearse just got owned by DeMarcus Ware, and that's not the matchup you want. That's a matchup in favor of the Broncos. If you're the Seahawks, you have to go big and let Marshawn do his thing. You cannot allow that to happen. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, I was a little disgusted with the lack of two-back system, especially in short yardage. Why are we not putting two backs in there? And as far as a fullback, having Coleman out there, especially in that situation. I mean, you would want to put, I would think, a fullback. If we had a fullback in there, we probably at least would have gotten out of the end zone.
No, to me though, the thing I expected to see was the jet sweep. I expected to suddenly just to see it, because every time they do that, they normally get a good 10 to 15 yards out of it. Okay, apart from that one against the Chargers, where everyone knew they were going to do it and everyone could see it. But just to mix it up a little bit. But I just didn't. It was like Lynch 1, Lynch 2, Lynch, and it was like, why are you doing this?
Yes,
I don't think in that situation. I don't think that would have worked in that situation. But if you're going to submit to what they did, I'd have rather them just put Russell Wilson in shotgun, send everybody upfield, and let Russell just throw it out of bounds.
Yes,
get out of the pocket, bootleg right, get out of the pocket, throw it out of bounds. That would have been safer.
But that safety for me, again, along with Hauschka's missed field goal, was that sort of momentum change. It was that push, and suddenly came into view very clearly for Peyton Manning that this was a winnable game again. It just swapped things around, and our defense did not adjust, as Dustin said. So that for me is my bad.
Yeah,
That that played out different in the stadium than it did actually on TV. Apparently, from what I saw, from my perspective, because we were, I remember we're hanging out, we're watching. House's lineup kick field goal. Everybody's like, okay, cool. We watch, we started BSing, talking. The kick happens, and we're like, oh crap, you missed it. Like it was, wow, that changes things.
Yeah.
We were completely unexpected. Like he's been so good.
Right.
That we automatically thought that was going to be in. We didn't even give it a second thought. We just went back to our conversation. It was
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, he
it was
just hooked
weird.
it left. I mean, the lace. He didn't get the laces. That was fine. All that setup was fine. He just caught his foot, I think, and hooked it left.
He just missed it.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah, it does.
I was just going to say the great thing too, watching it on TV, is that I love the announcer going, "Hauschka has been very good from this range. It's a rare miss." And sure enough.
Yep.
Commentator's curse.
Always.
They always do that.
They always do that. Well, let's put that behind us. Will, let's finish on a good note. What's something good from this game?
Well, I think the best thing from this game was just that drive in overtime. Not just how well it was executed and Russell Wilson going off everything, but coming back after pretty much getting shut down for the entire second half, which was kind of disconcerting, just to be able to come out and say, okay, that's behind us. We're going to do what we know we can do. We're going to drive down and score, and then just cut through them like a hot knife through butter. I love the resilience of this team, and I love that they can come back from even something as soul-crushing as that last game-tying touchdown drive that had me flabbergasted.
Well, and I know, I watched the games with my son, and he was getting upset because it was not looking good. And I just sat down on the couch, and there a commercial break before the coin flip. I texted Mark. I said, this team needs a good smack in the face, and I really felt that way. This team needed a good smack in the face. I thought, you know what? Let's give the Broncos some credit. They were record-breaking offense last year, and wow, he comes in under a minute, has to go 80 yards, and he does it. And that's why Peyton Manning is this legend that we hear about all the time, because that's what this guy does. And I'm like, wow. A legendary performance by Peyton Manning put it in overtime, and there you go. And I don't know, Will, what was the temperature? What was the tension around you after end of regulation in Century League Field? What was it like?
Well, it's funny because we get that field goal, go up by 8 points, and people around us start getting up and leaving. I'm like, guys, it's a one-score game. It's not over yet. Stay back. And
Stupid.
A bunch of people left, and then Broncos drove down and scored, and then people started coming back to their seats.
Oh dear!
And getting ready for overtime. So, but I had a bad feeling about that drive before they started. And then after Peyton scored, it was almost like, well, okay, that's done. Now let's see if we can respond. And I like the fact that we came out and did so forcefully.
Wow, did we respond? How great was that drive, Mark, by Russell Wilson? Just legendary. You talk about legendary. That drive right there, I think, answered a lot of questions to the rest of the world.
Well, he just, we've all seen it right from the get-go, and I posted, probably in two different forums that Russell Wilson is among, if not the best, decision-making QB in the NFL right now.
No argument there. No argument there at all.
4-0 in overtime games since Wilson became the starter.
And not just a game manager. I'm sick of hearing that. We're done with that. We were really done with that a year or two ago. Yeah. But I think a lot of people saw this game. It was on here locally, and a lot of people were like, wow, that Russell Wilson's the real deal. Because they see him in the Super Bowl, and people forget how efficient he was in the Super Bowl because of the defense. But wow, was he great in the Super Bowl? And he's just always consistently great and consistently calm and consistently just a leader. And he took the team on his shoulders in overtime, and he just would not. He would not let them get that ball back. His third down conversions were just legendary. That's one of the best drives. They're very reminiscent of what he did with the Bears a couple years ago when he drove them down in the fourth quarter to tie it and then went in overtime. And he did it with Patriots at the end of that game. And we could name a lot of games where this guy comes in and just time and time again shows why we think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So
The thing is, Moses, is again, is it's about narrative as well with these games. If you talk about the Super Bowl and how nobody really talked about Wilson during the Super Bowl, it's because they were too busy talking about Peyton Manning and how bad their team were. The narrative was how bad the Broncos were, not how good Seahawks were.
Right.
This time they can't get away from that, because that final drive was a perfect. It was a perfect legendary drive in overtime against the best team. A matchup against the Seahawks, a matchup against the Broncos. What else could they talk about other than that drive? Well,
to me it was a tale of two champions. You have Peyton Manning, he's the old school guy. Russell Wilson, the new school guy. And I know this is not NFL, but I'm gonna throw Michael Jordan in there because he was the first guy growing up where when I watched him, you're like, man, that guy just willed his team to win. And you kind of push that forward to this last game where Peyton Manning was like, I'm not going to let my team lose. He pushed them to overtime because of what he did. Like, he forced his will on that game. Then Russell got the ball in overtime, and he did the exact same thing. He allowed Peyton on the field, willed his team to win. The best players make the people around them better. We had two of those players on the field at quarterback last weekend, and man, it was a hell of a game. And I'm so glad we got the guy that's young and is going to be here for a long time.
I could not agree more. I mean, the guy's just going to be around for a while, and we should be very thankful that number 3 is our quarterback. That is a great postscript to this game, and it really was the actual literal postscript of this game was how great Russell Wilson is, and I think that's a good way to end a quarter.
Holy shit, it's halftime!
So we are at the end of the second quarter. We're coming up on halftime. This is time now for halftime trivia. You too can play along by watching your screen as we give the questions about the bye week trivia to our 4 posse members. And let's see how they do. Let's see how you do. But first, let's take a station identification. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
It's payback, Russell Wilson falling way back in the trap. Turn nothing into something, still can make that straw in the gold jump. I will spin, rumple still skin in a haystack.
Yes, welcome to another rousing rendition of Seahawks Halftime Trivia. That's right. It is the game show by the 12th Man Fan Jam, for the 12th Man Fan Jam, and a game show where you can play along out there in the audience. So, before we get too crazy, and the crowd gets too crazy, let's introduce the posse themselves, shall we? First, from England, he's a 2-time champion. He was on holiday. God save the Queen, baby.
God save the Queen.
From merry old England, it is Matt.
Hello, Moses.
Hello, man. Matt, how you doing, man? I would say hello, Moses.
That's you.
I know.
I'm a little tense. I'm a little anxious. I'm all right.
You're a little anxious. Also, we have a guy that's also been a champion in his own right. We didn't play this last week. And I think there's a reason he didn't win last week, because there was no Sammy Hagar on this show. And that is Will.
I think that was it, pretty much.
Yeah, when you don't get Sammy Hagar, man, things kind of fall apart.
Well, it is scientifically proven that 82% of all white men can sing like that.
That's very true. And of course, we have from California, we have our California Dreamer. From Santa Clara, or close about. His skies are always gray because he's California dreaming. That is Stats Van Mark.
Hey everybody! I've actually that's a decent song. I've actually been making the Eagles everywhere I drive this week.
Oh, we should have done the Eagles. I apologize. They don't have a California song, but we can put something in. Well, if you win, we'll find some. Hotel California. I mean, perfect for you. And then there's our reigning champion. From the state of Washington. Having a beer sickle even as we speak. It is Dustin, the champion.
The champ is here.
Champ is here in the house. All right. Well, gentlemen, here's how you play the game. You will have 2 questions each. There are 8 questions. A point each, and then a final big 2-point question where the closest person to the answer gets 2 points. We will have to draw for order, so we will let the champion pick first. And that would be Dustin. Dustin, would you like to pick a number between 1 and 4?
No, I'll go 2.
Dustin goes 2.
It's one of my kids' numbers in football, so I'll go his jersey number.
Dustin is question 2. We will then go to Matt. Matt, what number would you like?
I'll go Russell Wilson 3.
Matt will go Russell Wilson 3. And then we have our other former champion, Will. Will, what would you like to go with?
I'm number 1.
Will's number 1. Will, do you have a hat that tells everyone you're number 1? Because I think that would be just the best.
No, but I have hats that hold my beer.
Well, there you go. There are some that are just like that.
Nice.
And then finally, from California, that would be Matt Statsman Mark, who obviously is number 4. So you'll get a choice, Mark. Deal with it.
Yes, sir.
He's a trivia newbie.
Yeah, really. Yeah. All right, trivia newbie. Here's how you play. We're reminded by the rules. There's no Googling. There's no phone a friend, because especially for Matt, because it's like really late at night over there, so we don't want to deal with that. And
that'll be drunk call a friend.
Yes, and please everyone, no wagering. This is just for fun. So here we go. Are you ready with your first question? This would be Will, his first question. The topic is, for all 8 questions, the topic is bye week. That's all I'm telling you, bye week. And these are actually have to do with, and I'm going to tell you that these actually do have to do with the Seattle Seahawks. So
Okay.
you can get excited about that.
Wow.
Tangentially.
Yeah. 8 Seattle Seahawk bye week questions. Here we go. For Will. Will, in what year did the NFL have its first bye weeks? Was it 1990, 1992, or 1994? Oh, Will, guess who's back in town, buddy?
Oh, that Toxic Organist.
The Organist, baby. What year? I'll say it again. In what year did the NFL have its first bye weeks? 1990, 1992, or 1994?
I'll take 1990 for 200, Alex.
1990. He takes 1990, and the correct answer is 1990.
Good job.
Will is on the board. All
Was
right.
that an expansion year?
Nope.
Nope.
They just decided to throw in a bye week.
That they did.
Oh, okay. Okay. Weird.
So, well, Dustin, you think that's weird?
Yeah.
Check this out, because you're the next question.
Nice segue.
Yeah, question 2 for Dustin. In what year did the NFL actually give teams 2 bye weeks? Was it 1991, 1993, or 1995? What year did the NFL actually give teams 2 bye weeks? 1991, 1993, or 1995?
95. I have no idea.
He says 1995, and he says no idea. Dustin.
Yeah.
You're right. You have no idea. It's 1993.
I was set up.
1993.
Yeah,
They
that
had
was a
2
dumb
buys.
idea.
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't know either, so.
That was a dumb idea.
Yeah.
So, now we come to Matt.
Yeah.
Question 3.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, who was the first team the Seahawks beat coming off a bye week?
Oh, what?
Was it
And what college did they all go to?
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Here we
the
go.
first team the Seahawks beat coming off a bye week? Was it the Raiders, the Chargers, or the Broncos? First
It was a
team.
division game.
the Seahawks beat, coming off a bye week, Raiders, Chargers, or Broncos?
Well, by virtue of the fact that they're over here, I'm going to say the Raiders.
He says the Raiders.
Division game.
He says the
AFC.
Raiders. And the answer is... I'm sorry, it's the Broncos. The Broncos were the first team the Seahawks actually beat off a bye week. Yes, very true. I didn't want to say
You
they...
laughing at,
Welcome-
dwarf?
That sounded
Hey,
bad.
I'm welcoming you to the losers bracket, dude.
Yeah, did
Welcome
anyone hear?
over.
I said the Seahawks beat off the Broncos. I want to phrase that again. The Seahawks beat the Broncos.
I feel like that wouldn't be a spectator sport. It's kind of
Consenting adults, Dennis. Consenting adults.
All right. Mark, are you ready?
I am here.
All right. Mark's question is, how many games did Mike Holmgren win in Seattle following a bye week? 2, 4, or 5? How many games did Mike Holmgren win in Seattle following a bye week? 2, 4, or 5?
I am going to say 2.
He's going to say, oh, okay. The crowd likes that
I
answer,
think he's
apparently.
right. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, he is right. It is 2.
That many?
I remember that being an issue. Yeah.
So after round 1, Will and Mark are on the board. Dustin and Matt are not. So here's how we do this. Questions
I think
5
I get
through
half
8.
a point for the last. I get half a point for the last one, though, right?
No, you don't. Shut up.
No, you don't.
I
agree,
knew
I agree.
1993. You don't hear me bragging.
Drink another
Little
bit.
pissy.
They're already
Just
complaining.
See if that microwave is working. Put your head in it. Just have a look.
Well, yeah, I would. Here's the problem. It won't close.
Here's the problem.
Aw.
You can't reach to get your head in the microwave. That's the problem.
There's too much beer
I
in
got-
there.
I
You
got
can't
stool.
fit it.
I have a stool.
Oh, beer in the
I don't wanna
microwave.
know.
I have a tool. You are a tool. All
I
right.
don't want to know.
We go to round
Stool.
2. Question. Oh. You need a big one. A big stool.
What the hell?
But
It's got 3 steps. Good.
Give him 3 steps.
Oh, dear Lord. All right, here's it. Will, you get to choose questions 5 through 8. Which one would you like?
Well, I'll go with 5.
Will's going to go with 5. And then, Mark, you get to pick 6, 7, or 8.
I will go 7.
Okay. And then Dustin gets to pick 6 or 8.
6.
Dustin picks 6. And that
I did.
leaves... You did. Pick 6. Nice. And
Yeah.
Matt will finish up. Okay, second round. 1 for Will, 1 for Mark, nothing for Dustin and Matt. We start with Will. And Will, your question is this. When was the first win for Mike Holmgren in Seattle after a bye week? What year did that happen? Was it 2004, 2005, or 2006? First win
I'm
for
gonna say-
Holmgren.
I'm going to say 2005 against the Cardinals.
Ooh, wow, okay. Wow, you're trying to get some bonus
Even-
points.
Knows the team.
He's trying to get some bonus points, but he didn't get bonus points. But one thing he did do, he got it right, 2005. So Will
Nice
now
job,
has
man.
2.
That was the one where Sean Alexander had the intestinal problems going into that game.
Yes, he did.
Oh.
Yes,
And then got it cleared up at halftime and ran 88 yards for a touchdown.
yes, he did. Yes, he
I
did.
remember that.
Start of the second half, I think he did that, or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Dustin,
Sir.
it is your turn.
Sweet.
Here's question 6 for Dustin.
Good.
And I prearranged these, so this is just how they fell. You guys picked them. In 25 games after a bye week, how many games have the Seahawks won in their
Oh,
history?
good grief.
25 games after a bye week. Was it 7, 9, or 11? How many games have the Seahawks won after a bye week? 7, 9, or 11?
I'm gonna go 9.
You want to go 9?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go 9. Get Cleo onto the shut up here. All right. He goes 9. I'm sorry. It's 7.
Damn it,
So-
I'm getting shut out.
Dustin's getting shut out, but you can still, come at the end here and tie. That didn't sound good. You can still tie at the end. All right.
Either way, I'm satisfied, apparently. So
My
it's fine.
goodness. Mark, are you ready for question 7?
I am.
All right. In 4 seasons, how many games have the Seahawks won after a bye week under Pete Carroll? 2, 3, or 4? How many games have the Seahawks won under Pete Carroll after a bye? 2, 3, or 4?
I'm going to say 3.
He's going to say 3. He says 3. I'm sorry, it's 2.
2.
So Mark is still at 1.
What a loser. Oh, wait.
Wow.
Oh, wait. I'm worse off. Whatever.
This halftime trivia stuff has really gotten people bitter.
I would have gotten it right if it weren't for these meddling kids.
Oh, these meddling kids. All right, Matt. Here we go.
Yeah,
Final question before the big finale. Which of the following teams listed has beaten the Seahawks under Pete Carroll after a bye week? So one of these teams has actually beaten a Pete Carroll-led Seahawk team after a bye week. Is it the Buccaneers, the Rams, or the Browns? Buccaneers, Rams, or Browns? Who has beaten a Pete Carroll-led Seahawk team after a bye week?
Browns.
Yeah, that'd be my guess too.
Listen to you. You're all experts, aren't you? You think you know everything.
We all remember that game.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, that's the game Marshawn didn't
6-3.
play.
Yep.
Yes.
His back hurt. Yeah.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes,
so
it
here we
was.
are. After 2 rounds, Will has 2 points. Matt has a point. Mark has a point, and Dustin has zilch. But the final question is worth 2 points, so it's still very much anyone's game. Here we go. We're going to start with, here's the order we're going to go in. We're going to go Will first. We're going to go Mark. We're going to go Matt. And we're going to go Dustin. All right, here we go. Your question is, and you have to give a number. The one closest to it without going over wins. If everyone goes over, the one closest to the actual number will be our champion, or at least get 2 points. We'll see how that figures out. We may have co-champions tonight if Dustin wins. All right. Here's your question, Will. You mentioned Holmgren's first win after a bye week was in Seattle was on the road against the Cardinals, and you're right. Sean Alexander had a huge game in that game. How many yards rushing did Sean Alexander have in that game?
Oh, hell.
Oh, hell is not an answer. And you can pray all you want.
How many yards did he get in that game?
How many yards rushing did Sean Alexander have in that game, which was Holmgren's first win after a bye week in Seattle? You talked about it on the road against the Cardinals. 33-19, I believe, was the total.
Don't mind all the rustling paper in the background. That's nothing.
Pay no attention to the rustling.
Cheater!
Well, I'm feeling a lot of spirit here, so I'm going to say 176.
176. All right, Mark. How many yards did Sean Alexander have in that game?
I'm going to go much lower, 115.
115. Matt.
How
many yards did Sean Alexander have against the Cardinals in Holmgren's first win?
171.
171, and Dustin.
You crowd me out there, Matt.
Dustin, are you awake?
I'm here.
Hey! Oh my God! Dustin, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you want me to question again?
No. I feel like everybody's over on the Showcase Showdown. I'm going to go $1, Bob.
Oh, 1 yard. All right. He's going for 1 yard. Oh my God. All right.
Yes, my child.
Well, here we go. Are you ready? The actual total was 173. That means Matt was like 2 yards off. And that means that God save the Queen, baby. Matt regains the title and becomes halftime trivia champ on a 12th Man Fan Jam. Way to go, Matt.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Whatever.
God save the Queen, baby.
God save the Queen.
And thank you all for playing a wonderful, rousing rendition of Halftime Trivia. We hope you played along. If you did, tell us how well you did or how poorly you did on our questions. We want to know. Comment at the bottom of this video. Comment at the end of this post. Just comment. Say hi. Say you guys stink. You guys are great. We want some feedback. We'll give you a shout out. We're going to take our halftime break. We're going to get some Gatorade to pour on Matt, and we'll be back after we find some Gatorade or maybe a frozen beer sickle, maybe. I don't know. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this station identification.
Hi, I'm Mosette, Moses' daughter, and when he's not telling me to clean my room, he's on the 12-man fan jam.
Mosette, come here, clean your room.
Call me Dad! Holy shit. It's the third quarter, bitches.
Yes, welcome to the start of the second half of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. An exciting halftime trivia where our champion returned from vacation, from holiday, and took the title right from Dustin, right out from underneath Will's feet in an exciting, a game almost as exciting as the Broncos Seahawk game. It was very exciting. Congratulations again to our champion, Matt, our halftime trivia champ.
Thank you very much.
And
I have
now,
a feeling he's going to test positive for PEDs, so I anticipate that coming back to me.
No, TEDs, trivia enhancing drugs.
Yes, those.
That's what it'll be. TEDs, TEDs. He'll come back with TEDs. We'll have him pee in a cup later. But before we have him pee in a cup, we do want to send the third quarter off to him a little bit because Matt has come back from holiday. He has watched the game. He's talked about it, and he's just really, really irate right now. So we'd like to do a little thing we like to call Matt, Why You Bugging?
Hey, Matthew. Hey, Matthew.
Why you bugging?
So what's bugging Matt? Matt, what's bugging you?
Oh, gentlemen, I'm going to take us all back in time. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take us all back in time. So just imagine you're in a DeLorean at 88 miles an hour. We're going to go back to a time of the 23rd of May 2010. Now this date is quite significant because it's the first day of reporting after a rule change. Excuse me, a rule change that happened in Orlando, Florida. Now the NFL decided at this particular time to change its rules on overtime and how overtime would be handled. And they decided, from a majority of 28 teams to 4, to change the rules to say that both teams would have a possession in overtime unless the opening drive by the first team to get possession ended in a touchdown.
So that's a majority rule. That's a majority rule, right?
Yeah, it was a majority rule. Of the four teams that said no to this was the Minnesota Vikings, the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens. Those were the only 4 teams that disagreed with this rule change. The Broncos accepted the rule change.
Okay.
So can somebody explain to me why every person on the Bronco journalists, every single Broncos player apparently, including their multi-million-dollar forehead quarterback, has decided to start complaining about how unfair this rule was? Because it didn't seem too unfair when their owners agreed way back in 2010. It equally didn't seem too unfair as the first team to actually profit from this rule during the Tim Tebow legacy. I'm going to use that word I'm doing air quotes. On the radio you can't see them, but I'm doing air quotes. The Tim Tebow legacy of the Broncos when they played the Steelers, I believe, in a playoff game and won using these rules. Again, at that time, nobody in Colorado, nobody in Denver began complaining about how unfair these rules are. But suddenly now it's very unfair because poor old forehead Peyton Manning didn't get a chance to go on the field and lose the game. Now, the reason I'm bugging about this is because I think that when you lose a game to a top 10 quarterback like Russell Wilson, I think you've got to be a little bit gracious in defeat. And what you can't do is sit there and blame a rule which your team approved way back in 2010, because ultimately, you know, if you wanted to win that game, Mr. Manning and the Broncos, you need to score in every quarter. You need to do a little bit better than just relying on the fourth quarter to score all your points. And your team were on the field during this overtime period. A little section we like to call defense. Unfortunately, your defense decided that they would have a bit of a wibbly moment and not really show up, and lost you the game. But that's not the same as saying you didn't have any possession. You sort of had every opportunity to get possession, you just weren't skillful enough to do it. So I suggest that the Denver Broncos spend a little less time moaning about rules and spend a little more time practicing practicing to score in all 4 quarters, and then we'll look at rule changes. So that for me, gentlemen, bugged me a little bit.
That's some good bugging there, and the kids like the bugging. That's some good bugging.
Yeah.
Good bugging.
But there's
Hey,
more.
there's more. Kids, there's more.
I'm not finished, because not only did we have the forehead deciding that this was a bad thing, suddenly the dwarf gets involved. And when I say dwarf, I don't mean Dustin, because he doesn't play for the Denver Broncos. But Wes Welker,
not currently, every time.
Obviously. But Wes Welker suddenly decides that he's going to have a little bit of a moan. Something's bugging Wes Welker, and that's that he got tackled by Earl Thomas. I mean, what a disgusting thing to happen.
In a football
the
field.
humanity.
I know, and the reason why that was so disgusting, of course, is that Wes Welker shouldn't even been on the field. He should have been suffering his suspension for breaking the rules around drugs previously. So he should be, as far as I'm concerned, he should be grateful for the fact that he was on the field to be tackled at all, because he really should have been sitting, probably in jail. But either way, so. Yes, Wes Welker very upset that he got tackled, and that he's a defenseless receiver, but he can't be a defenseless receiver. You didn't receive the ball, you stupid midget. You can't be a receiver. You can't be a defenseless receiver if you didn't receive the ball. Then they said it was pass interference. Well, to be fair, he was nowhere near the ball because it was picked off. So all in all, Wes Welker needs to take less drugs and shut up. Would be my general gist.
The kids dig that too, I think. Kids? That's right.
Yeah, that's actually within the rules too, because once the ball is tipped or intercepted like that, all those guys become blockers, and you can blast them. I mean,
that's right.
We coach our kids that way. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But Earl just did what he's coached to do.
But it wasn't as
if it was completely legal.
Yeah, absolutely. But it wasn't even as if he was completely blindsided, because he wasn't blindsided, because he spied Thomas. And in fact, Thomas was already slowing up and bringing himself upright at that point anyway. So all of this fluff and nonsense, again, we lost the football game by an overtime touchdown. Wow, let's cry like a bunch of whiners. All of this stuff going on, and that poison little midget then has to start complaining about that as well. Quite frankly, shut up, man. You shouldn't have been on there. You should have been suffering a suspension because you broke the rules. Yes, the NFL changed the rules mid-season, which is a disgusting thing to do, in my opinion. You should have been sitting on the sideline.
Excellent rant. Well done. Let's talk about the overtime. Will, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the Broncos did field a team in overtime. It's called their defense, right? And this is a high-price defense they spent all this money on. And my view has always been, you have a team out there. It's not like you didn't get a chance. You had to stop that team 1 yard. They could go 79 yards. You had to stop them 1 yard, and you couldn't get it done. Is this not a team game?
Well, Moses, it is a team game. And as I said a couple of days ago, they played 44 overtime games under the current format. A team has only won by an opening drive touchdown 7 times, including the Seahawks game. So it's not something that happens that often. And the current rules actually give a little bit of advantage back to the team that starts out on defense, because all they need is a field goal. So if you stop the team that starts out on offense, if you stop the team that wins the coin toss, or even better, force a turnover or a fumble, suddenly you've got a huge advantage. Look at the Saints-Falcons game week 1. Saints started out with the ball. Falcons got a fumble. They didn't move a yard, and they kicked the game-winning field goal. So, again, if Denver's defense, which had done a really good job in the second half, quite frankly, if they had just made a stop, then precious Lord Manning would have gotten a chance to get on the field and win the game. So, Mark Kiesla, the Denver Post, quit your whining.
Exactly. Quit your whining. Since you're in California, Mark, and I know they're not Seattle fans, but has anybody said anything down in San Francisco area about the rule changes? Do they agree with the Broncos? Do they agree with the Seahawks? Or has there been any stance down there?
Well, when they're drinking coffee or at the medicinal marijuana shops, they come up with certain things.
And they mostly just look at their hands, don't they?
They're just amazed.
They should be, because it's a real team. And then Dustin, what is your view on the overtime? I mean, defense is part of the team, isn't it?
Well, I'm a defensive coach, so I want to say, yeah, they're part of the team. And so, I don't know. I mean, like, years ago, it was sudden death. I never liked sudden death because I felt that was unfair because the other team didn't get an opportunity to have the ball and score. Nowadays, all you have to do is stop them from scoring a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You get the ball, and you can go out and have an opportunity to win. So I like how this setup is, and I feel like the moaning and complaining is pretty overplayed or unrelevant, or I think the media or whatever is taking the angle the wrong way. I mean, the defense is definitely part of the team. They're the guys that have to score, in case guys never don't understand this. Your team has to stop the other guys from scoring. That's half the battle.
Right.
I don't know if they know this in Denver. So
Right.
I'm throwing it out there. So when the other team has the ball in overtime at the 20-yard line and they march 80 yards in 13 plays and score a touchdown based on the rules your franchise approved, it means you lose.
That's right.
So you're going to have to deal with that. That's just how it is.
I
don't know
agree.
that there's a way that's much more fair.
No.
Other than handing out participation ribbons to everybody. So I'm pretty disappointed in the reaction, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I am too.
I don't get it.
No, I don't either. Well, and as far as the hit that Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker, I totally missed it until people started talking about it. So I've got the game on tape, and I went back.
That's legal. That is completely legal.
Yeah,
it
is.
Okay, once the ball touches somebody's hands, you can hit anybody over there.
Well, but what I've heard is not so much it's illegal, but the people that are complaining are saying it shouldn't be. Like, this is a legal hit, but the NFL should look into changing the rules, is what I hear from the other side. Is that what you're hearing, Will?
Oh, that...
Yeah, we've definitely been hearing a bit about that. I mean, it's people saying, okay, yeah, it's not illegal, but it should be. Thomas wasn't fined, but he should be.
Right.
Again, again, with the whole overtime question, I just have to wonder, if the shoe was on the other foot, if Percy Harvin had gotten blasted because Russell Wilson had just thrown a pick, would anybody care? No.
No. We'd be upset he got blasted.
That's obvious because, like, okay, look at it this way. If you throw the ball to a guy behind the line of scrimmage, if that ball is thrown, say, to the right, anybody in that direction on the right behind the line of scrimmage is an eligible target. You can hit them. The guy he's throwing the ball to and the blocker or two blockers, you can go lay them all out if the ball's in the air, and you can recover that fumble, because if it's not a forward pass, it's a fumble. Right. So you can go out there and blast all of those guys behind the line of scrimmage.
Well,
it's the same rule. It's just farther downfield. I don't understand why people are having such a hard time understanding that.
I think, like I said, I don't think that it's like don't understand it. I think they just say, wow, the people that are complaining are saying it's a legal hit. He wasn't be fined, but they should look into that because he was blindsided. Which again, this is their side, not mine.
The thing is, Dennis, is it's nonsense to try and take out all impact from this sport.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
You cannot have a situation where, even if you're, for example, if a quarterback throws a ball away and somebody then comes in, that's roughing the passer. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. You're already in motion. Your body, you've got a 280-pound man in motion, probably moving through the air towards a quarterback who hasn't thrown the ball yet. The speed at which he throws that ball out, by the time they make contact, yes, he's got rid of the ball. But that bloke can't stop his momentum any more than anyone else can. This nonsense.
I feel like that's case by case, though, man. That's case by case.
the nonsense that you have at the moment is that you, for example, if a quarterback is running out of bounds, even if the two collide accidentally out of bounds, there can be a 15-yard penalty. This nonsense around collision and impact is starting to completely destroy the sport, and it's got to be stopped. And the only way it's going to be stopped, in my opinion, is to get rid of Goodell. But you can't have an impact-free American football. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
No, I agree you can't have an impact-free, but I think there are circumstances where you can avoid that. Like you're talking about that out-of-bounds scenario.
Yeah,
you can avoid that. You can avoid that, and it's field awareness. That's all that is. I mean, like Bruce Irvin in San Diego. He could have avoided that.
Yes, he could have. He could have. You're right. But I think the point that Matt's making is that they are trying to slowly and surely any kind of contact that is even hinted to be excessive, they're starting to jump on. They meaning, Roger Goodell and the NFL is trying to mask all this hitting, and you load these guys up with, helmets and pads, and you show highlight reels of them hitting each other, and then you're telling them, oh no, you can't. You can only hit each other, but not very hard. It's almost like that's what they're saying.
Don't defend Matt because he's your trivia champion. He can speak for himself.
I'm not defending him. I'm agreeing with him.
I can.
Yeah,
it's the same as this like 2-yard rule and the 5-yard rules, and you're not allowed to have contact after 5 yards. La la la. Just relax off the whole impact thing. All right, just make players sign a waiver at the beginning of their career to say you might end up getting hurt.
Right.
Be done with it.
Mark, you had something?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, we know that Goodell, hasn't seen any of this because he never reviews tapes.
Yeah, very well done.
Game, set, match.
Oh, and Wimbledon. Now, that's like a Wimbledon England reference for the Raiders.
Mark just sits back and takes in the show and then just delivers like a bone-crushing hit. He's the Mike Tyson of this show. No flash. Back when Mike Tyson first started, no flash. He comes in, he knocks you out, and he walks out. He's a Mike Tyson. It's amazing.
He fades into oblivion.
Yeah. Speaking of fading into oblivion, it's time for headlines and punchlines. Yes, headlines and punchlines. When we take a headline from the news, in this case the Broncos Seahawk game, and we have our own little punchlines to it. And tonight's headline and punchline is Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard. That doesn't sound very good. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard. All right. I know Will has a few. I know Mark has one. So we're going to start with Mark. Are you ready, Mark?
I am.
All right. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard
that Walker woke up and thought he was still a Patriot.
Not bad. Will. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard.
Welker thought he was at the Kentucky Derby and asked the back judge for some Molly.
The back judge did look like Miley Cyrus. Very strange. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard, oil sprung up from the divot in the ground.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Will, you got another one?
I've got a couple more, yeah.
All right. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard.
Welker phoned Roger Goodell to see if Thomas's hit was covered under the league's new domestic abuse policy.
6 games. That is 6 games, sir.
Oh, we should stop right there, but we're not. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard, there's a permanent 83 imprint on the Century League field turf.
Nice.
Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard, Will.
Peyton Manning started singing, Earl Thomas whooped his ass.
Nice.
And any more before we end? I got one more. All right, last one. Earl Thomas hit Wes Walker so hard, Earl Thomas has Wes Walker's sweat permanently tattooed on his shoulder. Can't get that smell off. That Wes Walker smell is with him forever.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
And that's the end of the third quarter. We're going to take a quick station identification, come back, look at our predictions, prognostications, and of course the Madden game that was played by Dustin and see how all that shook out following the actual game that was played. We'll be right back after this quick station identification.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Oh man, I think the clock is slow.
We're waiting.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, welcome to the final quarter of this special bi-week edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. We're so glad you joined us, and we would like to hear from you. If you could comment at the bottom of the video here on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, or the post that this is on, either on Facebook or on some of our websites that we send this around. And if you'd like to share this with other people, please feel free to. We'd love to have this shared and have us subscribed to and all that fun stuff. But before we do that, before we call it a night, we're in the fourth quarter, we're going to talk about our predictions and prognostications from this 26-20 victory for our Seattle Seahawks over the Denver Broncos. The predictions are up on the screen as you see them now. Matt had given his prediction before he went on holiday, 31-28 is pretty good. Dustin had 24-17, very good. Will had 34-21, and I had
not as good.
Not as good. I had 34-23, just a hair better, but not really. So I think with the score 26-20, I think really Dustin was only off by 2 or 3 on each one. So I think Dustin is our big winner. Dustin, you get the adoration of the kids. The kids are proud of you for picking such a great score.
Thank you. You can't see this on internet radio. I'm taking a bow. Thank you.
Take a bow. That's long enough. All right.
Yeah.
Our prognostications were very interesting this week as well. You see those on the screen. Matt had called for a crazy second half, punctuated by a Baldwin touchdown, which never happened. But Dustin did say Lynch 2 touchdowns, and I believe Lynch had 2 touchdowns. So good for him. Will had called for Thomas to have 2 interceptions, and I had called for a pick 6 from Maxwell. So I think, once again, Dustin, the clean sweep this week. So
Yep.
Dustin gets the 12th Man Fan Jam home game, which is a broken headset that we'll send to you, and you can put the headset on and act like you're part of a show. So get excited about that.
I am.
Yeah, you should be. And finally, we have a new thing that we started last show with the Broncos show, where Dustin will play the Madden version of the game and give us his report. Last week he played Madden between the Broncos and the Seahawks, and the Seahawks won 23-6. That was not as accurate. However, he did have Russell Wilson throwing for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And guess what? In real life, Russell Wilson threw for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. So that's pretty amazing right there. So
hell yeah.
Yeah. So, Madden is the answer. So just remember that, kids.
It's more accurate than I thought.
It's more accurate than we all thought. Who knew? Matthew, final words before we call this bye-week show a bye-bye?
I just think that all I would say is that I really wish, in some respects, that the Super Bowl had been this game, because it would have been a fantastic and legendary Super Bowl, as opposed to what it really was, which was by the second half of the Super Bowl, everyone knew we'd won that, and it was actually a bit dull. But this game, I think, was fantastic. It just shows just the resilience of Russell Wilson. Really put him in the spotlight, which is fantastic. I'm glad that we've got a bye week quite a little bit earlier. I was a bit dubious when we started, but I'm all for the momentum that the team is going to get going forward. So I think this is a good time for a bye week for us. Let's hope there's no injuries going forward. That's the important thing for us.
Excellent. Mark, closing quotes?
Well, I'm encouraged by what the Redskins showed last night against the Giants. You just never know what's going on in the NFL. And Kirk Cousins was rumored to be the starting QB even when RG3 returns and all this. And now he took 4 or 5 or however many turnovers he had steps back after last night. And also, I'm glad that this road game is a primetime game, because I think that works to our advantage, and we get a later start. It's not an early game, although we're fine on the early games now. But I'm a little less worried about our next matchup. But we can't take anybody lightly, period, especially on the road.
I agree. Well said. Well said. And we'll talk more about that Redskin game in our next show. Will, your final thoughts about this Bronco game?
Well, I have to disagree with my esteemed colleague Matt here. I kind of preferred the 35-point blowout.
So you want to say? I'll say it for you, Matt. You're an ignorant slut.
Okay, that works.
He knows. He knows.
But no, I think it was a good win. I think
said.
it was a good win. I think it showed a lot about what this team is made of. I think it gives us good momentum going into the bye, and I think we're off to a pretty good start this year. We've got some things to work on, but we played games against 3 very good quarterbacks and beat their teams 2 out of 3, so that's not too shabby.
Very good. Dustin, final thoughts?
Go Eagles, because I was the 49ers to lose.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Go Eagles is right. I agree with all of you. I can't get over that last drive by Russell Wilson. Just as we already knew that he was a great quarterback, but we've never had a quarterback be able to put a team on his shoulders like this guy does when they need it. And this team is so resilient. I know that it was so quiet at the end of the game when the Broncos had scored. And let's face it, folks, the Broncos, Peyton Manning, there's a reason why people, absolutely worship this guy. He is an amazing quarterback. There was an amazing team. It was an amazing comeback by the Broncos. But this Seahawk team didn't falter. They didn't wither. They didn't give up. And they just showed that they fight to the very end. And that's something that we can all absolutely love about this team. And I couldn't be prouder of the Seahawks as I was last week, watching them come back after falling down at the end of that game, but saying, you know what, we're not done yet. And just an amazing game and an amazing show. And it looks like it's time to bring this amazing, wonderful show to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us during the bye week. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. It always does. And we certainly hope that you laughed a little. We hope that you didn't cry any. And we hope that just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn on this show, bye week special? Well, we learned how to unfreeze a beer in the microwave. We learned that Martellus Bennett is the man. And we learned that London smells like Oakland right now. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, the yin to my yang, in a faraway land, Matt, on behalf of Dustin, on behalf of Statsman Mark, our news hound Shadowhawk Will, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, saying enjoy the bye week, get some rest, and we'll be back next week to talk about that team out of Washington. Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks! Go Hawks!